Good morning. Still coffee time here. Today I'm going to be looking again at an instrumental tune by Lindsay Buckingham from the Buckingham Nicks album from 1973. Previously I did a tutorial on this song, and I wanted to update that because I think I've made some improvements in the arrangement, getting it closer to the record. For those of you interested in this tune, if you've watched Lindsay Buckingham perform it on YouTube, he does not play it like he did on the original record. In fact, he doesn't actually play a solo arrangement because he's got a pre-recorded track that he plays along to so that he gets some of the harmonies. In reality, he's not actually playing a solo version of it. But the fact is that the original recording doesn't have any of the really low notes of an open tuning without a capo. So clearly it was capoed, and I think that I do have the tuning for this, which after experimentation turns out to be that the upper 4 strings or upper 5 strings are tuned to open G tuning. But then the low E string, instead of tuned down to D, is tuned down to C. So you get that sound. Now when you're figuring out open tunings, you look for open strings that you hear ringing in the arrangement, and that's what guides you to the tuning of an individual song, if it's an altered tuning or an open tuning. It's listening for those bass notes that are ringing open or treble strings that are ringing open. Find a ringing open string, and that will lead you to the tuning that you're looking for. All right, so this tune does require a capo on the 7th fret. So with the capo on the 7th fret, in this arrangement, we're going to be going quite high. We're going all the way up to the 16th fret here. So that's going to be the highest note that we hit. So if you have a rounded body guitar, that's going to make access a little bit difficult. You can do it reaching over a little bit, but it's much easier if you have a cutaway. So if you have a rounded body guitar and you want to play this tune and you find that's difficult, just move the capo down 2 frets and play it there. And that's what I typically do if I've got a rounded body guitar. Still sounds great, it's just not in the original key. So I wanted to present it in the original key here. So it's kind of nice for you fingerstyle players, for me to get back to a tutorial on a fingerstyle piece, because I consider myself primarily a fingerstyle guitarist. And I do promise, though, that I'll have more toll tutorials coming up in the near future. Thick as a Brick, we'll be looking at Requiem. And then I've gotten a lot of requests for other tunes that I need to learn, actually, to be able to teach. So I'll be looking at those too. Some of them are very challenging, it might take me a little while to learn them and be able to teach them. So this tune requires a couple of techniques that are prominent in the tune. So you need to be familiar with alternate bass picking with your thumb. Usually you're going back and forth between the root and the 5th. So we're going to be doing that on the A string and the D string, and we're also going to be doing it occasionally on the low E string and A string. The other technique that's prominent in this tune that you're going to need to know are he plucks a lot of strings simultaneously with these 2 fingers. So you have to know that technique as well, moving across the strings with 2 fingers, plucking two strings at a time. That's very prominent, by the way, in Lindsay's playing. He does that quite a bit. All right, with that in mind, let's go ahead and we'll just jump right in the tune. So the opening phrase goes... So that's the very opening phrase. So see, we've already got the alternating bass notes on those notes. Then we're fretting the B string and G string here, and we're going to do a slide like that. once again, see how we're keeping the bass alternating. So yeah, when we open, we actually hit the A string and the D string before we pluck that note. And then when we play that, we're playing all three strings together, sliding up, and then coming back to hit the A note open. Alright, so that's the opening phrase. Now we're going to move up and start doing that 2-finger at a time technique I was telling you about. And so we started with it fretted here, and then play it open, and then move down to the G and B string. And then we're going to play the D string open. Then we're going to come up and just repeat coming down the strings, except we're not going to fret this time. We're going to play everything open and hit the A string. And then we're going to come back up once again and repeat the phrase ending on the D string again. So all those are played open except for this at the start. So if we start at the beginning, all right, so those are the opening phrases. So the next chord we're going to is we're going to be playing the B string here, the G string here, and the D string here. So that's going to be our next chord. Now on the record he has this double tracked and he's playing separate lines here. So he's actually coming down this in harmony. Now you can play it that way. It's a little more difficult, I find. So I would recommend just playing this single notes, coming down those one at a time, plucking it with the middle, index, and then thumb. So if we look at that, it goes. Alright, so we're to there. Now the next phrase, once again, is double tracked and it's played in harmony, and it's really impossible to play in the harmony that's on the record, because the harmony on the record goes like. So that's impossible to play at the speed, the tempo of the record. It just can't be done. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to take notes from that harmony that are important and then incorporating it in a single line. So we're plucking the open B string, the open G string, the D string fretted here, the A string fretted here, and then we're moving back up to the open G string, and we're coming down fretting the D string here. Now we are playing 2 strings at a time here, because we can manage that. We can't manage all this other stuff down here, 2 strings at a time. Now the phrase is quite fast. So the way I recommend fingering this, particularly that ending, I'm playing the middle finger, index, thumb, middle finger, and I'm playing this with my thumb. Then I'm playing this with my thumb, playing those open with these 2 fingers. coming back, playing that with the thumb, and ending with the index and middle finger here. And the reason it's, I think, important for me at least to play those with the index and middle finger, because the next chord, we have to set that up and we have to get to it, and that allows us to get to this chord. It allows us to get to that faster. All right, so that's that part. So just play that very slow and work up the speed. The next chord we're going to, we have the A string fretted here, the D string fretted here, the B string fretted here with the index finger, and we're going to be hammering on the open E string to the second fret above the capo. And we're playing all those, picking all those at the same time: bass, index, middle, while we hammer on. Now we're going to have the bass alternating again on the A string and the D string. And the top is going to sound like so. See, I'm opening, taking this finger off, playing that open, and playing those two. So the important thing, once again, is keeping the bass note alternating. Alright, so then we skip down to the bottom E string, and now we're going to be picking all the top three strings with our index, middle, and ring finger. And we're going to hammer on. We're going to keep the top shape here the same, but we're going to hammer on with our middle finger now. We're going to come up to the 12th fret with our pinky. We're going to come up 2 frets from there, and we're going to slide that up 2 more frets. Like that. So that's going to be on top of the bass note alternating once again. So the way to practice that is just to get the bass note going first. So from there, we're going to be doing that crazy finger roll that he does so wonderfully on the original record. Now when he's playing it live these days, he doesn't even do that. He just does a simple pull-off. Once again, so I'm trying to recreate the record. So we're going to be doing a finger roll here. We're going to be leading with our index finger and then rolling out the other fingers. Like that, kind of a flamenco move, right? So we're going to be concentrating, we're going to be hitting the upper strings. We don't want to hit the bass strings with this. So we want to start about the middle and roll from there. And we're going to be fretting the B string here and the E string here. And then we're going to be doing a very fast hammer-on pull-off on these notes. First one will be hammered, and then you pull off all the others. So I've got both strings fretted here. So after we do that, then we're going to hit the open G string and the open E string. We're going to play those two after that roll. And then we go right back into the opening. So this time we reach up to the 12th fret with our pinky and play that note. The rest of the phrase is the same. Important to keep the bass notes alternating once again. Same thing. Gonna do that one, and then we're gonna come down and do another finger roll lower here. We're gonna have our index finger here fretted on the B string, and then the hammer-on pull-off we're doing this time is on those notes. While we keep this fretted. And then we're going to play the open B string and G string at the end of that one. So the upper one is so those are fast, and he does them so perfectly on the record. It's very hard for me. Then we play a phrase similar to the opening. So that's the same. See, it's coming down. Open D string. Coming down, those strings open. Hitting the A string, but instead of coming up and doing it again up here, then we just go repeat the opening phrase again. Except this time we're hitting the open A string in the bass and the E string on the 12th fret. Alright, so on the bridge part, he's playing these chords. So we got the D string and B string fretted here. Then we've got, and then we've got D string, G string, B string. So we're just going to be moving back and forth between those chords. And we're going to do them similar with those two strings at a time with our index and middle finger. With our index and middle finger. So we're just going to be doing that while we have a alternating bass pattern between the open E string and open A string. But you can see when we turn around and start over again, we have to hit the E string and A string open. Open E, open A. Start the phrase again. A string open, E string open, A string open, E string open, we just repeat that opening phrase. And then in between those, we're just coming up here, open, and then G and B string. Just going to do that twice. And then we're back into this part again. Repeating the whole song. So you see at the end we were just going back and forth between this chord and this chord, but we're alternating the bass strings. Every time we're playing this chord, we're hitting the A string before, and then playing the open E string before we go to that shape. Now, when we come down and we play this chord the last time, hit the open A string, and then we're doing that arpeggio twice. Before starting the phrases over again. Now on the record, you might notice that when he's coming out of this part, there's a very chimey upper part, that arpeggio, because he's overdubbed these two arpeggios. So it gives it that very chimey sound. Now that's too hard to play, I think, at the tempo that we're going to need to get to it. Sounds great, but you also, because you have to lift the finger, it kind of gives it a choppy feel versus just playing where you can ring, let the strings ring out. You could play just the upper part if you wanted to, which sounds cool, but once again, it's a little bit hard to get to at the tempo we're going to play this at, because it's, you know, pretty fast. That's just much easier to get to than getting up here at the tempo that we're going to be going. All right, so he just repeats the whole thing. We've already learned the whole song because it is a little bit repetitive. The only other thing is that when he gets back to the bridge part, he does another little roll. With this fretted and then open. Kind of sweeps it back to hit it open. To get back into that. All right, so that's the song. That's Stephanie. Wonderful little instrumental. So I hope you have fun playing that. I have done tab for this, and it's my first attempt at tab. I don't know how to share it really though with you, and I'm glad to share it free, but if someone in the comments below can recommend the best way to do that, of course could always do it email, but you know, something more anonymous might be nice. So if there's some platform or technique by which I can do that, please let me know in the comments below. Once again, I'll gladly share the tab for free. Have fun playing it.